Hi, everyone. Good. Is it morning? Is it afternoon? It's afternoon already. So, hi. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for taking time to be here with us. So, we have our last session today. This is the last session that we're going to cover under the Digital Skills Training Bootcamp. Okay. So, this is the last session that we're going to cover. I hope that you've had a good run. I hope that you've had a good run. You've taken some time to put into practice what we've learned about in the previous classes. All right. So thank you all for taking time to join us. Thank you for being consistent with your attendance. I really, really appreciate. Okay. So with me here today, I have two of my colleagues here today. There's Dinah. You can already see her in the chat section. She will be moderating today's session. And then I have Chidima. Chidima, you're not able to see her. She's not in the chat section, but she's at the back end, ensuring that everything goes well, broadcasting the session, noting that, we are not experiencing any technical issues. Okay. So Margaret, Nancy, Lynette, Kaizen, I see you all. Deborah, thank you all so much for taking time to be here with us today. Oh no, sorry. So my network is a bit fluctuating, but I'm hoping that we should be able to take this session um, very well, rather smoothly for the next hour. So first of all, I think I will give a shout out to the first person who joined us. That is Doroplated Gold. Doroplated Gold. I hope I've pronounced it correctly. So just a good shout out, hearty shout out to her for being here on time, even before our moderators. All right. Also, I have Amara who joined us, Alaba, Dive Productions, Temitope, Blessing, Christabel, Kaizen, and Yo. All right. So thank you all so much for taking time to join us. Do well to remind your friend or your colleague who is not here right now to join the session. Tell them that we've begun the session and then go and hit the like button. I can see the likes are going. Go and hit the like button to like this session, and then YouTube. All right, subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can hit the bell icon for notifications on future sessions. Okay. So I think, let me just give me 1 minute. I'm looking at my network. Just hold on. Okay. Sorry, I was trying to change my network provider. So, like I said, what we're going to look at today is how to stay productive online. All right. So, do well, like I said, to remind your colleagues to join, remind your friends to join the session, prompt them. You can share the session on your WhatsApp, on your Facebook, on Twitter. Remember, in the last class, we said Twitter is very good with trending conversations. Okay, so do well to do that. And thank you all so much for joining us. So this is the last session. I know we started the boot camp. Earlier in the week, and we have looked at 7 sessions. We've looked at how do you build your brand on the online space. We have looked at how do you create your own digital marketing plan. We've also looked at how do you use, the different marketing tools available in social media to grow your business. We've also looked at creating your own digital marketing strategy. What are the different channels of digital marketing? How do you leverage on each? How do you decide on each? And then we went ahead and focused our content on using data and insights to grow your business, right? And then getting set up on the Google business profile. And I hope we all took time to try and create our own profiles. And then if you created your profile, there was a link that was shared with you for basically for verification, because we said you're not able to manage your profile if it's not verified. And then what are the different tools of Google Workspace that you can use to increase communication and collaboration within your business? Then the last topic that we're going to look at today is staying productive online. How do you stay productive online? All right, so that's the focus of today's class. Like I said, I have two of my colleagues here. There's Dinah, you can already see in the chat section. So she'll be taking your questions. If you need any clarifications on anything, if you have any inquiries, do well, please, to drop that in the chat section. We will pick it up from there. My name is Beryl Okwach, all right? And I'm your trainer for today's session. Oh, and not to forget my other colleague, Chidima, who's broadcasting this session, but you're not able to interact with her. So this session basically is divided into three, as all the other sessions. So our focus is, especially with COVID, there was a lot of, the normal workplace, quote unquote, was redefined. Okay. So we had many employers and companies are looking at remote working for their employees. Okay. So the first focus is looking at how to set up your remote office. Personally, I work remotely because I'm based in Kenya and Impacta is in Nigeria. And then Dinah also works remotely, same to Chidima. So how do you set up your remote office and then to ensure that you're still productive? So building a productive work environment under remote working. And then the last thing you're going to look at is managing and maintaining your well-being. How do you manage and maintain your well-being as an individual first? Right? So before we even before we even dive into the content, remember to sign up for the Google Hustle Academy. We've talked about this throughout, ever since we started the digital skills training. We've talked about this. So make sure you go to Google Hustle Academy. The link will be dropped in the chat section and sign up. You stand to basically learn a lot. So you get to learn about, you want to quit your business. How do you go about that? Okay. You want to create your own business strategy. How do you go about that? You're looking at effective financial planning. How do you also go about that? All right. And then we're also looking at you want to get started with digital marketing, the practical aspects of digital marketing, right? So how do you also go about that? And then the benefit also that you get from the Google Hustle Academy is you get paired with a mentor to walk you through the entrepreneurship journey. So please make sure you sign up for the Google Hustle Academy. Dinah will post the link in the chat section. Please copy it and paste it on your browser. You will look at it later on so that you're not kicked out of the session, right? So before we even start, I like my sessions to be very interactive. I like to get some feedback from you. Sometimes I'll have to ask you questions and see your responses. So how has COVID-19 impacted your role? How has COVID-19 impacted your role? Lucy from Yamira, hi. So how has COVID-19 impacted your role? Thank you, Dinah. Dinah has already shared the link to sign up for the Google Hustle Academy. So let me know in the chat section, how has COVID-19 impacted your role? I'm actually looking at your comments in the chat section. So you can tell me if you're employed, maybe you can tell me, you know what, I think I lost my job because of COVID-19. That's one reason, right? So just let me know in the chat section, how has COVID-19 impacted your role? How has COVID-19 impacted your role? How has COVID-19 impacted your role? Hi, Chris. Hi, Grace. Hi, Simon. Gloria says it was really tough. We are a service-based business, so sales dropped. Yes, so I can imagine if you're a services business, obviously it means that you thrive well with in-person interaction with your clients. So especially with the COVID and the lockdowns and in-person interactions, restrictions, I know it was a bit hard on your business. So any other person, I can only see one response from Gloria. So any other person, please, on how COVID-19 impacted your role. How has COVID-19 impacted your role? Faith from Calabar. Hi, Faith. Business was slow. I had to adopt digital methods. That's Deborah. And then Glory also says we couldn't pay salaries, so I had to let two staff go. I know that was a bit hard. Yes. Chris says digital marketing reduced the negative impact. So, can you basically expound on that, Chris? On how how it reduced the negative impact for you. Any person, any other person, please. COVID-19 turns me into an online businesswoman. So that's, you see, that's the perk of COVID-19. You're redefining how you run your businesses. Okay. Then Rachel says it was tough at first, but it made me embrace digital methods so I can keep growing. I had to adopt to remote working. I had to diversify. Amara says, my business picked up during COVID-19. I made sales in terms of essential health supplies. Wow, Amara. So, Amara, you benefited. Jemima increased operational costs, limited funds and income. Nancy, we now conduct more lessons online with fewer physical classes. So you basically redefined and reimagined how, basically you run your business. Okay. So those are really good responses. Thank you all so much for that. So we'll move on to the next part of the session. Remember, we talked about three agendas that we're going to cover today. The first thing we said is setting up your remote office, right? So, what is remote working? When we talk about remote working, what do we mean? It basically does not mean just working from home. Okay. It's not just centered from not working from home. So, basically, remote working is, a working style that allows professionals to work outside a traditional office environment. So, I could be going to, a shared workspace, all right? Maybe there are shared workspaces in your area. So you could be going to a shared workspace. You could be going to a restaurant, okay? So long as you're still working, but just not confined to the traditional office environment, right? So basically that is what we mean when we talk about remote working. So like I said, you could decide to work from home, okay? So if you have a good environment at home, if you have a good network at home, you can decide to work from home. It could be a coffee shop. Sometimes you might find that sometimes, like personally, maybe my lights in my area have gone off. I don't have a backup generator, right? And then obviously, if my lights go off, my laptop will die, and then my Wi-Fi is also off. But I still need to get work done. So sometimes I might, carry my laptop, carry my tools of trade, and go to a coffee shop just to ensure that I am still productive, right? And then there are also co-working spaces. I have colleagues who go to co-working spaces. So for these spaces, these are businesses that offer working spaces to people who probably don't have an office or don't work in the office. So you might pay per hour or per day, depending on how much time you want to spend there. And then you could also go to a library. There are different public libraries, private libraries, that you can always go to work. Okay. So these are different places that you can always go to. I mean, you can always let me know in the chat section if you have an idea of other places that you can work from, right? So you can also let me know, besides what I've talked about, if you have an idea of other places you can work from. So what do you need to do? What do you need to work remotely? I'll ask you that question. What do you need to work remotely? What do you need to work remotely? What do you need to work remotely? What do you think you need to work remotely? The kind of, let's say, tools of trade that still make you what that still make you productive, right? Let me see responses. Cyber cafe. Yes, you can go to a cyber cafe. Yes, you need the internet. Gloria says you need your laptop, network, and data. Uninterrupted network. Yes, you need an interrupted network. Boro, hi Boro, how are you? Access to internet, laptop or smartphone, device and internet, a strong internet. Internet for me, reliable internet in a productive environment. Yes, so different people have different, environments that they deem productive. So that's also one thing. Chris, a laptop or phone, a table, a chair, internet. You need a platform where you can advertise your products or services. Sitting space, stable electricity, yes. Priscilla, laptop, good internet connectivity. Yeah, so that's one thing. So basically, what I'm talking about right now is a summary of all the things that you mentioned in the chat section. Dedicated workspace. So you need a space to separate work from home. Personally, like I said, I work from home. So in my living room, I have a secluded place that is quote unquote my office. I have my desk, I have my shelf, I have my chair, okay? I'm next to, I have an extension cable, so I'm able to plug in my laptop without moving. My Wi-Fi is ready there. So you need a dedicated workspace. And then you need to look at the devices. What devices do you need, right? I need my laptop to work. I need my phone. I actually have my phone here with me. I have my notebook, I have my pen because it's important, let's say, especially in meetings, to be taking notes. Okay. Then, of course, with my Wi-Fi, sometimes my Wi-Fi, if there are no lights, my Wi-Fi might go off. So I need to have backup data on my phone, right? To connect to, the internet in case my Wi-Fi goes off. So I'm still able to work, right? And then you also need the internet. I've talked about that. So you need to identify an internet service provider that is very good with, their connectivity is very good, just to ensure that there's continuous productivity. So when you're looking at creating your own workspace, right, you need to figure out a space in your house that is conducive to work from. It could be in your living room. It could be maybe a space in your bedroom, okay? But you need to have good lighting, first of all. It needs to be quiet for your production, for your productivity, right? When you're taking meetings, then you turn your video on, your background is, your background looks good, right? So the first thing, you need to avoid the bed or couch. Imagine me taking this training and I'm seated on my bed. Imagine taking the training from my bed, right? It doesn't even make sense. It's not even professional. Then you need to set up a table and a chair. So if you can, make sure you get a good chair, because anyway, at the end of the day, you're also looking at your health. So you can get these, they're nice chairs that don't hurt your back. So you can get those chairs, right? And then make sure the space is comfortable for you. And at the end of the day, consider your posture. Like I said, you don't want to hurt your back, okay? Because some back problems, especially back problems, they define themselves over time, right? So you might be working and not having a good chair at the moment, but you will feel the effects maybe next year. Okay. So you also need to consider your posture. Some of the physical equipment that you might need, and I've talked about this, it could be your phone, it could be your computer, or it could be your notebook. All right. Either of the things, a pen, you would need an extension cable, just to ensure that maybe if my laptop is going off, I don't have to move and carry it to a place near the socket. Right. So getting stable supply, power supply, getting stable power supply. To be productive, you have to get stable power to charge your devices. Okay. So if you have backup power supply that you have, that you can afford and get, the better. So you can decide, you know what, I'm using, you know, the main electricity provider in the country. Then I have a generator to kick in, maybe, or I have solar power devices so that can kick in also in case the main power supply goes out. You could be having power inverters as well, right? And sometimes, if not even sometimes, right now we have power banks that can power your laptop. Okay, we have big power banks that can power your laptop. So that's also something that you can look at as backup power supply devices, right? Then when you're looking at, most of us have mentioned that they need their internet to work. They need proper internet to do their work, right? So we're looking at the different internet service providers, that is the ISP. So looking at the different service providers available in your area. Obviously, you have to look at the cost. I know, I know we also focused on the cost, but there's no point in choosing the cheapest provider, yet they have bad connectivity. You know, it's not helping you at the end of the day. You can't even take 1 hour meetings straight because there's fluctuation in the internet just because you chose the cheapest provider. Okay, so you need to look at the balance. Look at obviously the cost, and um, you're looking at the cost, and you're also looking at their quality, right? So choose the right internet service provider. You can get an alternative internet service provider as well, right? And then find the right router. So you have to choose a router that's strong enough, right? That will not bring you any issues, right? So maybe you have the router in the bedroom, and you're working from the sitting room, or you're working from the bedroom and your router is in the sitting room, you're still able to connect to the internet, right? So you're also looking at the connectivity distance, I think, yeah. Then you need to plug into your Wi-Fi. Sometimes you might find that maybe the wireless connection from your router is not working. So you can decide to get a cable. So you connect a cable from your router to your laptop just to ensure that the connectivity is good. And then you need to test and compare internet speeds. So you need to test and compare internet speeds. Um, I mean, when you choose, maybe in Kenya, there's Safaricom, there's Airtel, there is, I think I'm trying to figure out the different internet service providers. Personally, I'm using Safaricom in Kenya. Okay, I'm using Safaricom Fiber. So before I decided on Safaricom Fiber, of course, I had to test the speed. Once they installed the Wi-Fi, I had to test the speed and see if it's working out for me or not. It also depends with the bulk of work that you're doing. So let's say like designers or engineers, if you're using a lot of apps to to run your work, all right, you might need an internet service provider that's fast and that can take up that load, all right. So you need to test and compare the different internet speeds vis-a-vis the kind of work that you're doing to ensure that it's working out well for you. So let me know, what are some of the challenges that you think you can face when working remotely? What are some of the challenges that you can face while working remotely? What are some of the challenges that you can face while working remotely? What are the challenges that you can face while working remotely? I'm actually waiting for your comments in the chat section. Keep Dinah busy, keep me busy. Teresa has said, even in caps, laziness. Yes, laziness, there's connectivity, there's network fluctuations. Yes, like the ones that I had before we started the session. Internet connectivity challenges, network disruptions, bad network signal, lack of adequate power supply, distractions, language barrier, low achievement, sudden power surge, especially on the power surge. It's just very disorienting. Alaba says connectivity, liquor monotony, distractions, laziness, procrastinations, and network issues. Agnes, stable connection, interruptions, especially if one has kids. Yes, interruption, especially if you have kids, right? Boredom from not having a colleague. Yes, so that is also an issue. So you might have access to inferior goods or disconnectivity, power surge, boredom, lack of human connection, distractions, especially the lack of human connections. I'm facing it. So I actually know what you're saying from your comments. I understand what you're saying. Yes. So let's look at the challenges, which is, like I said, most of these things that I'm talking about, after I ask my questions, are more or less just summaries of what you mentioned in the chat section. So when you're looking at the challenges, there's loneliness. You know, you don't have a colleague to talk to. You're just there alone, all right, and quiet. So there's that aspect of loneliness. And then it requires self-discipline, all right? Because, you know, some people might take remote working as if it's a vacation, but it's not a vacation because you still have your tasks, you still have to achieve your tasks. Okay. So there's self-discipline and then no employee benefits. If your employer is giving out transport allowance or people are getting to the office, they are being given lunch and 4 o'clock tea, 10 a.m. tea, you don't get all those things, right? So there are no employee benefits. And it's usually very hard to switch off also when you're working remotely because assuming, let's say, maybe Dinah was taking decision, or let's say Udemy in the first class, Udemy was the session, the first class today. So imagine Udemy was taking the session and he had some network issues that he was not able to connect adequately. He was not able to adequately complete the session. It basically means I should be available to step in for him in case of such issues because at the end of the day, the trainings have to go on. So you always have to be available. It's usually very hard to switch off. And then there's the fear of missing out, FOMO, obviously. So let's say like my colleagues in Nigeria, they decide to have an end year party for everyone. There's no way I would leave Kenya to Nigeria to go for an end year party. So there's also the fear of missing out, right? And then we've looked at the challenges. So what are the benefits? What are the benefits of working remotely? What are the benefits of working remotely? With each challenge, there's also a benefit. So, what are the benefits of working remotely? What are the benefits of remote working? Let me see. Let me see. I want to see if you think there are some benefits associated with remote working. You have a flexible schedule, yeah. Olua Sean says, when these challenges of working remotely occur, what is the way out? And we're going to look at that. We will look at that in this session. You get to cut costs on rent. Yes, Amara. Less stress, you're more focused, ability to take on more than one assignment, convenience, internet interruption, electricity interruptions. We're looking at the benefits. So there's independence, flexibility with time, cash flow. If you have discipline, you can get a lot done. Some people on the team are more open when there's no face-to-face conversation. Yes. You cut down some costs, you cut down on transport, rent, saves time, flexibility in terms of working hours, being able to gain access to a larger audience, less pressure. So these are great, 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 great responses. Thank you all so much. So like I said, with every question that I ask and me coming back with my next slide, it's more or less just a summary of all the responses that you give, which are very correct. So one of you or some of you have rather mentioned flexibility. So there's some bit of flexibility. I can decide, right, I know I need to give out 8 hours per day 8 hour productive, 8 productive hours in a day. They can decide to either work from 8 to 5, 9 to 6, 10 to 7, 11 to 8, but still, regardless, be available to my colleagues in case they need my help in one point, right? And then there's no commuting. I'm not dealing with the traffic jam. I'm not dealing with the noise outside. So there's that benefit. And then you get to spend time with your family. So assuming you were going to an office and it's in a different town. So that means every morning you have to leave the house at around maybe 5 a.m. Okay. So that you don't deal with traffic, so that you can also get to the office on time. And then when you come back, you've dealt with traffic, you get home at around 9 or 9:30. You don't have the energy to interact. If you have children, you don't have the energy to even interact with them. You just want to get home and sleep because you're tired. So you get that you spend less time with your family, maybe from Monday to Friday. And sometimes over the weekend, you just want to rest, but your kids maybe still need the attention. So it's a bit tricky. So the benefits of remote working, I can just tell my kids, you know what, mommy is working from home, but from 9 to 12, I'm busy. Please don't disturb mommy when she's working from 9 to 12. But I'm still there when I take my break in between, because it's important to take breaks in between. I can interact with my kids, So you get to spend time with family, and then there's less distraction. On distraction, colleagues can be very can act as distractions. Especially you go to the office on Monday, maybe Banner Boy Banner Boy had an event over the weekend. You went to the event, you want to go to the office on Monday, talk about that, talk about all you did over the weekend. By the time you realize it's Monday noon, you have not done anything. All right. So, with remote working, you don't get such distractions, and there's also high morale. There's also high morale. You're flexible, you understand that maybe I'm not a morning person. So I can be productive from 11, then work till late. All right. But in the office, you're just confined to like 8 to 5. Maybe if you're not a morning person, maybe from 8 to 11, there's nothing much you are doing. All right. So you basically just work less hours. You're even tired. Your mind is tired. But with working from home, you have a high morale. And then that was to individuals. So, what are the benefits of remote working for businesses now? You, as a business owner, what do you benefit if your employees work from home? Employees work from home. The first thing, you get reduced overhead costs. If you have people coming to the office, every day, and you decide, what, you now be coming to the office twice or thrice a week. First of all, you reduce maybe costs on water, costs on electricity, cost on any associated cost that you would incur if you had all your employees coming to your office from like Monday to Friday. Then there's also greater productivity. You go back and look at your employees have a high morale, all right? A high morale, they have a high morale, they're flexible with their working hours, so they understand when best they can be productive. You get increased productivity. There's also access to a wider pool of talent. You're not just limited to the people living around where the office is located. It's the same as in Impactor, we have, I'm working from Kenya, Dinah is working from Cameroon, Udemy is working from Nigeria. So you see, there's an access to a wider pool of talent, and then there's improved employee retention. There is improved employee retention, right? Just hold on, give me a second. Yes. So there's improved employee retention. Remember, your employees are able to work remotely. They're flexible. They have a high morale. There's no point they would feel like, you know what, I just want to go. I'm tired of this job. All right. So there's, you increase chances of having your employees stay with you for a longer period of time. So we'll take questions up to that point. Do I have any questions so far? Do I have any questions, please, so far? Any questions? Any questions so far? So Dinah is also there in the chat section. Just hold on. All right. So let me see. Are there any questions that I have missed? Yeah. Increase your chances. It's all. I like your pace and how well you explain the points. Thank you so much, Gloria. Thank you. Communication very clear. Thank you, Priscilla. Thank you so much. Thank you, Deborah. Right. Okay. All right, all good here. Kaizen is okay. So if there are no questions, you can also say, Beryl, I have no questions. Let's move on to the next part of the session. So that's also good, right? Greetings from Nigeria. Hi, Goreti. I hope you're doing well. So we'll move on to the next part of the session, which is basically looking at how to build a productive work environment. How do you build a productive work environment? So remember, this is the last session of the day. So you can also tell us in the chat section, how you have found the training so far. You have been very engaging. I know you have been very engaging and interactive. You can also just let us know in the chat section, your thoughts on the digital skills training. So let's move on to the next part of the session, building a productive work environment. Why is your work environment important? Okay. Why is your work environment important? The first thing, like I said, you need to designate an area. All right. I talked about this in the first part of the session. You can designate an area in your living room or in your bedroom, depending on where you feel comfortable with. But just make sure that when you're able to take video meetings, your background is well enough. I know right now most of these apps have this feature. Maybe you can blur your background or create a virtual background for yourself. But just to be on the safe side, make sure that imagine if I was taking this meeting in my room and then in my background you see my bed. Maybe if it's not made, you look at that, it looks very distracting. Okay, then find the right chair for you. So there are these orthopedic chairs that you can get. I personally have one orthopedic chair, so it's very comfortable for my back because I don't want to start getting any back issues right now. So you need to find the right chair for you and then get a filing system to organize your life. I know most accountants deal with the receipts and all those whatnot. So make sure you have a good filing system. You have an incoming file. You have a file for incoming mail. You have a file for outgoing mail. This is the same with virtual. If you're not dealing with physical receipts and documents per se, you can have a virtual filing system. So you go to your drive, and I know you talked about this in the last class. So you go to your drive and you look at, create different folders for different items. So it's easy. You can share the folders, give access to colleagues that you would want to access different folders. So everything is well organized, right? Then looking at statistics, we see that there's a 40% decrease in productivity due to workplace distractions, okay? And 20% increase in errors. So remember the example I gave about me going to the workplace on Monday and talking about the, the Burna Boy concert, all right? Obviously, after I talk about it for like 3 hours or 4 hours, I'm not productive. That is work time, that is downtime. So I'm not productive. And if my colleague is there, and maybe I went to my colleague's desk and she's working, so obviously me distracting her, there's a chance that her error rate in her work will increase, right? So that's also basically the downsides of having people work in the office throughout. So what do you think you can do to minimize distractions? What do you think you can do to minimize distractions? Yes, orthopedic chair. What do you think you can do to minimize distractions? Yes, Laura. In short, one is required to be disciplined and set productive limits. You're working from home. You're right. I love the training. Thank you, Justina. Gladys, I hope you have not missed much. All right. Just jumped out of a meeting. It's okay. So if you feel like you've missed much, you can always just um, access the recordings. So remember, all the recordings of previous sessions are available. So just use the links that were shared with you for the specific sessions to access the recordings. Right. So Alaba says set the rules in regards to the questions that I've asked. keep to your work time, put phone on do not disturb, check emails on certain blocks of time during the day. The training has been superb. Thank you, Laura. Have work time limits with breaks in between. Very important, Lika. Yvonne, ask those around you not to interrupt. Correct. Set definite time to undertake your work. Correct. Self-control. It all takes self-control, right? So how do you minimize distractions? The first thing, you let others know your work hours, and someone has actually talked about this. So it's like my friends. My friends know, if you want to call me, please. I'm usually very busy during the day. I can't take calls. All right. So call me in the evening. They know. Maybe they will drop me a message. I will obviously I'll look at the message on WhatsApp during the day and maybe respond. But if it's this long calls that we have with our friends, you know, if it's this long calls, you have to, tell them, you know what, please be calling me at maybe from 6 p.m. And then you need to do one thing at a time. You don't want to be disorganized. So you need to plan yourself. You plan, these are the tasks that I have to do. Like, for example, I usually have a to-do list that I look at every day. So I know today, this is what I'm supposed to do. I have my to-do list for the day, right? And then I look at the urgency of these tasks. Maybe I have 10 things I need to do for the day. All right. I look at the timelines. This is needed by this time. This is needed by this time. This is needed by this time. All right. So I know which one I will start with, and then avoid TV and household distractions. So imagine me taking this meeting and I have my TV on, music is playing. I'm not even serious. Then put away all pets. So you don't have dogs barking and interrupting you. Okay. Then make sure you take regular breaks. Someone also talked about this in the chat section. You're not a robot. You cannot work. You cannot sit on your chair from morning to evening and still be productive. You need to take regular breaks. So you can decide, after 2 hours, I'm doing this task for 2 hours. After 2 hours, I'll maybe take a 10-minute break, right? And then come back again and then take maybe my lunch break for like an hour. So you need to take regular breaks to rejuvenate your mind. So what do you think you can do to improve productivity within teams? What can you do to improve productivity within teams? Yes, Elueze, there was a session before this session. Yes, there was a session before this session, and we looked at implementing Google Workspace across your business. All right. So what do you think you can do to improve productivity within teams? So you have different team members working separately, but you need them all to be productive. What do you think you can do to improve their productivity within the team? Thank you, Grace. So what do you think you can do to improve productivity within teams? Get enough rest a night prior to your meeting. Thank you, Yvonne, for that. Introduce icebreakers. Yes, Eunice, you can introduce icebreakers. It's true. Set priorities, assign tasks accordingly. Yes, you need to delegate the tasks accordingly. Create play stuff. Yes, so you can have icebreakers. Sometimes, maybe you've had a busy week, your team has had a busy week. They just need, to let go for maybe a few. So you can have, maybe you have a meeting at the end of the week. You can create an icebreaker. Yes, so create play stuff. Anything else? Anything else, please? Introduce fun activities. I thought the first session was scheduled for 11:30 Nigeria time. Actually, the first session was scheduled for 10 a.m. It was 10 a.m. Nigeria time, right? That was 10 a.m. Nigeria time. Okay. So project management, sorry. What you need to do, with different teams you're working with, maybe on a project, but every person is, carrying out different tasks. So what do you think you can do to ensure that each person is doing what is expected for them? So there are different project management tools that you can use to ensure your team's productivity. There's Mural, there's Asana, there's Trello, and there's Basecamp. So you can look at these tools to ensure that you're tracking the productivity of your team members. But the first thing, even before you get to that, actually you can even use the G Suite, right? So G Suite is basically the Google Workspace, and that's why you talked about it yesterday. You can look at it, you can try and use it to track productivity of your team members. So the first thing you need to do is establish vision and deliverables. What are you working towards? What are you looking to achieve as a team? Remember, there's the organization goal and then there's the team vision. So, what is your team looking to achieve? And then the greater organizational goal. And then each person, what are the deliverables of each person? Beryl, you're supposed to do this and this. Lisa, you're supposed to do this and this. Dinah, you're supposed to do this and this. And then establish logistics for team communication. If your team needs data, maybe they're using Wi-Fi, they're working from home, you can tell them. You can look at the cost of their internet and maybe tell them if it's affordable for you as a business, you can cater for all the collective internet cost, or you can tell them that besides your salary, I will still pay for half of your internet, then you pay for half. Okay, so you need to establish logistics for team communication, promote visibility and transparency. It's very, very important. Promote visibility and transparency. It basically shows how you're incorporating all your team members and the activities. Then track the quality and status of projects. I give, assuming I was given a task by my senior, all right? So obviously she will need to track. She tells me the deadline is next week, Friday, but she will be tracking. Maybe I'm working on, a proposal. So that's on PowerPoint, on Power, I mean, on Google Slides. I can share with her. So she's able to track how far I am with the proposal and still give me input. Anything she needs me to do better, she can tell me. And then identify and address bottlenecks. What are the challenges? What challenges are my team members experiencing? What can I do better to alleviate those challenges? So 70% of workplace mistakes are due to poor communication. And that is very true. And even, whether you're working remotely or working from the office, 70% of mistakes are usually due to poor communication. So you need to look at, how do I improve the communication of my team members? What tools are out there to ensure that I'm meeting with them regularly? I'm able to receive feedback from them. If it's instant feedback, which tools are there that I can use? I mean, my team members can use for instant feedback. If it's professional communication, what tools can I use for that? Right? So you need to look at the different tools and decide. As a business, you decide. For example, as Impacta, we know that we use Slack mostly for instant communication, and there's also WhatsApp. You can decide on Google Hangouts as well, GChat, okay, for communication, instant feedback, and then for formal communications, email is usually the best recommended. All right. And then you also need to look at the different collaboration tools that you can use. All these have been covered in the first class today, right? So which tools can you use for collaboration? You can use Google Docs, right? You can use Google Sheets. You can use Google Slides, right? If you want to meet and brainstorm, you can use the Jamboard, which is the virtual whiteboard. So there's that, right? Then set rules to communicate. You've identified the tools that you want to use. Then what are the rules for communication? I need to tell my team members, you know what? We have a training at 12. I don't expect that at 11:50 or 11:55 is when you're telling me, Beryl, I can't take the training. No, it's unacceptable. So you need to communicate early, right? So you need to ensure that you have communication guidelines for your team members. Communicating early. If a client sends an email, or maybe you're a business and you have people commenting on your Facebook, what is the turnaround time for responding to communication? What is the turnaround time for responding to communication, right? So if someone a client makes an inquiry on Facebook, I expect maybe in 1 hour, 1 hour and a half at most, there is feedback that has been communicated to them by the social media manager, right? So respond promptly, set and role model the guidelines. You don't want to preach water and drink wine, right? So when you're looking at having video meetings and calls, there are so many tools. I think the first one that most of us had an idea about was on Skype. Okay, so there's Skype, there's WhatsApp, there's Teams, there's Zoom, there's Meet. So which video conferencing tool are you comfortable with? Mostly Impactor uses Google Meet. Okay, so I know I have a meeting with a partner. I will always schedule it on Google Meet because it's the ideal conferencing tool chosen by Impactor. So make sure that you look at these things. With these tools, you can do presentations, you can have your video on, so you're even able to get the non-verbal cues from people, and you're also able to collaborate, right? So I've talked about Google Meet. So we're looking at Google Meet. You're able to do presentations from there. You're able to brainstorm from there. You can have meetings from there. There's also Zoom. With Zoom, you can record your, whatever. If you have a meeting, you can record your meeting. Okay. So there's the free Zoom that you can use. The free Zoom that you can use, it gives you the ability to, you can have meetings up to 100 people. You can record, you can get a recording up to the 40th minute. But if you feel like you need more advanced features, you can always pay for Zoom Premium, right? Also, Microsoft Teams and Skype give you basically the same features, right? And like I said, right now there's the option of blurring your background. So you can blur your background if you feel like the background is not ideal. You can blur your background, or um, you can choose a virtual background to display itself during your meetings. So when you're setting meetings, if I decide to have a meeting with my team members tomorrow, I need to set an agenda. What is the purpose of that meeting? So we don't waste time, like people come to the meeting and they don't know what the meeting is about. So during the meeting is when we start to ask each other, what are we meeting for? It doesn't make sense. So you need to set agenda so that people can prepare themselves ahead of the meeting. So it even reduces the amount of time you spend in meetings because they can be very tiresome. To set agendas, consider your tone of voice. Consider your tone of voice. Encourage using cameras, and then be timely. If the meeting starts at 12, be on the call by 11:45, be on the call by 11:50. Check if your network is okay, check if your video is okay, check if your audio is okay. Then when you're looking at video conferencing tools, you need to prepare yourself. I can't come to a video call and I don't even know what I'm supposed to present. Okay. So you need to prepare yourself. You need to dress appropriately. Look at your lighting. You can't take meetings in darkness. Doesn't make sense. Do you agree? So consider your lighting, your background, I've talked about it, and then your audio. Is my audio good enough? Can you hear me? So that not all the time during the training, I'm asking, the people from the other side, is my audio okay? Can you hear me? So I spend like a third of the time of the meeting just asking if they can hear me. So when you're looking at collaborating effectively, first thing you need to equip your team with the right tools. We've talked about the project management tools. We've looked at communication tools. And in the first class, you also looked at collaboration tools. I've talked about project management and the different tools. There's Asana, there's Trello, right? There's Mural. You can also decide to use Google Workspace. Make document sharing easy and accessible. This was covered comprehensively in the morning class. Encourage collaboration. So if I'm the operations team, obviously I work together with the finance team because they need to finance the operations of the business. So I need to figure out a way how to collaborate with my finance department, albeit remotely, to ensure that everything is seamless. And then prioritize company culture. We have different teams within the company, they have different visions, but at the end of the day, all these teams will come together towards the greater goal, which is the company goal. So prioritize company culture. And then we say that 70% of workplace mistakes are due to poor communication. So ensure you over communicate. It's better to over communicate than to under communicate. I better tell you everything and everything about anything that not tell you the than not communicate that and miss out on essential details. Then you need to be disciplined. We said with to increase your productivity, you need to be disciplined. You need to know that it's not a vacation. I'm supposed to be working. I understand my working hours. So I work maybe from 10 to 6, but maybe Udeme had a session at 9 and he needed my help. I can still come in and step in. All right. Then have your tools ready for work. We looked at the different tools that you can have. Then find your booster and use it. More what motivates you, what motivates you, because that is a thing that will drive you. So you need to find your self motivation. Make sure it's in sync with your work, because it will ensure your productivity. If what motivates me is not in sync with my work, I will not even have the energy or the psyche to do my job. So make sure you find your booster and use it. Do I have any other question up to that point? So we've completed the second part of the session. So we should be moving on to the last part. Do I have any other question? Hi, Doris. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Better to over communicate. Yes, Kaizen. Yes. Any questions so far? Any question? If there are no questions, you can also tell me no questions. Dinah is also in the chat section, picking up comments and questions. I mean, and anything if you need clarification, she's also there. Faith, Moinat, Juliet, Moinat, I see you all. Thank you so much for the comments. It's very, very encouraging. Thank you, Lucia Nzisa. I appreciate. Thank you, Mudhoni Wangare, Winrose Mwangi. Thank you, Uniquely Read. Thank you. Thank you so, so much for that, right? So let's also look at now the third part of our session, which is maintaining our well-being. Remember, if your mental health is not good, you're not able to be productive. Oh, sending love right back to you, Yvonne. Sending love right back to you. Okay. So we'll move on to maintaining and managing your well-being. Like I said, you will not be productive if your mental well-being is not okay. Okay. So as an employee, you need to ensure that your mental being is fine. As an employer, you need to ensure that your mental being is fine and the mental being of your colleagues are also fine. So why do you think it's important to manage your well-being? Why do you think it's important to manage your well-being? Why do you think it's important to manage your well-being? All right. Why do you think it's important? Personally, I know that if my mental health is not good, I cannot be productive. There is nothing I will do. Okay. So Miss Winnie says, I love this discussion. How can I replicate this in my community and train women here to be productive and embrace digital spaces? So the best part is you've attended all these classes. You can always go back to the recording to look at, this is the topic that was covered and this is what they talked about. So can I have a training with my community and share this same, content and discussion with them? Okay. So now you're the owner of that knowledge because you've been in this class, you're the owner of that knowledge. So can you see how you can, set up trainings for the people that you work with for your community to replicate the same? Yes, Yvonne says for your own sanity so that you can deliver results, affects your productivity. Kaizen says, great lesson. You give what you have. Yes, you can only give what you have. I love that statement, Teresa. Hadija, because nobody can manage it for me except me. Yeah, the power, you have the power within you, being able to see clearly without any form of bias. Yes. So you need a fresh mind, especially if you're in leadership positions. You need to be able to see things objectively. For mental stability, your right state of health is equal to your productivity. Yes. So I see all your responses. Thank you so, so much for that. Let's move on. Basically, Is there anything new that has been showcased in the screen? This is basically all you have told me in the chat section. There's nothing new here. So it impacts your overall health. I have seen instances where, maybe my friends have had, maybe they were mentally not in a good place. And at the end of the day, they even got sick. So they started getting admitted. Oh, headaches, I'm not feeling well, my body is just aching. But when they go to hospital, it's nothing. They do all the tests, there's nothing wrong. They do all the tests, there's nothing wrong. Okay. So it's because they are depressed. So it basically makes them think that it makes your body think you're unwell. So you start showing symptoms of diseases that are not even there. So it impacts your overall health. It leads to greater productivity. All right. So if you're in a good mental state, I should be able to be productive at work and effective and efficient. It also increases your resilience. All right. You're able to take up so much, like someone mentioned, I'm able to take up more roles without being fatigued. And then it boosts your morale and levels of happiness. Obviously, it boosts your morale and your level of happiness. So what can you do to manage your well-being? What can you do to manage your well-being? Thank you, Dinah. The attendance form has been posted. Please make sure you fill in the attendance form with the correct name as you would want for it to appear in your certificate. So please make sure you fill in that form. So my question to you, right? What do you think you can do better to manage your well-being? What do you think you can do better to manage your well-being? Health in planning ones, yes. What do you think you can do better to manage your well-being? Take time out to rest, yes. Avoid stress, leads one to be more effective, yes. Need to rest. In fact, rest is the most important thing you need to do. Yes. Ade Opemi says, take time to rest. Thank you so much also, Temitope. So you need time to rest. Sleep well, healthy eating habits. Correct. Thank you, Gloria. Thank you so much for that. Go for a girl outing. Yes, you can even decide on the weekend, you know what, I'm meeting my girls out for the weekend because I need to rest. Have a work schedule to manage your time. Yes, have a work schedule. You can have a to-do list. Get a hobby. Yes, get a hobby. If it is cycling, it's running in the evening, if it's going to the gym, get a hobby. Have short breaks and get a comfortable chair. Very important. Yeah. So let's look at that. Avoid overworking and take regular breaks. We've talked about rest a lot. So you need to set reminders to take breaks. Sometimes you might be busy, sometimes and usually very busy. It even gets to, I find that maybe my lunch hour passed and I had no idea. Okay, so it's like 3 p.m., it's 4 p.m. It's when I realized, it's when I realized, I was almost speaking Swahili, sorry guys. It's when I realized I haven't eaten. Okay, so you need to set up reminders. Set up reminders to take breaks. Be clear with the team when you're leaving. So I'm taking like maybe a 1 hour lunch break. Maybe my 1 hour lunch break is 1 to 2. That's in Kenya. So in Nigeria, that's 11 to 12, because most of my colleagues are either in Nigeria or in West Africa. So they are on West Africa time. So that's 11 their time. It's 1 my time. So when I step out, I'm telling them, you know what, I'm going for lunch now. Okay. So I will not be available for this 1 hour. They know. Okay. So they know from 11 to 12 their time. It's 1 to 2 my time. And I need to go out for lunch. Then turn off notifications when on a break. So this one, it also depends. For most of the time, my role requires a lot of, instant feedback. So as much as, I'm not available, when I say I'm not available, I can tell them I will give delayed feedbacks, but I will still come back with feedback. So you can also turn off notifications just for your peace of mind, because you might find that you're going on the break and you're still working on your phone. People are texting you, so you're not even resting. Then schedule in an activity. You can decide, maybe I'll be taking a walk, or I can go to the gym, I can ride a bike. I have a colleague I know who work with that impactor. She goes to the gym in the evening. So I already know from this time to this time, even if I need her to do something for me, I have to wait for up until she gets back from the gym. So also be ready for the culture shift. Trust the overall performance, So you have to also be flexible in your mind. I know most of us are, perfectionists. You want things done this way. I want this done this way. I want this done this way. Remember, you're dealing with different people. So you need to figure out, how you can in sync you can align their synergies, because these are different people, but at the end of the day, you're looking at the overall performance. Then rethink the concept of work. Nothing is cast on stone. Be flexible with ideas, be flexible with your strategy, understand your commitments, right? Know what your focus is and be patient. Be patient. It takes time. Rome was not built in a day. So be patient. Then, when you want to manage your overall well-being, exercise regularly. Someone talked about getting a hobby. Okay, you might decide maybe your hobby is drawing or painting, right? Maybe it's rejuvenating your mind. Whichever way, exercise regularly. View mental health as seriously as physical health. If you're mentally fatigued, take days off. You can take days off. You can take leave days, right? It's important to take care of your mental health. Check in with your manager or team regularly. So you work within teams, all right? Maybe you feel like, I don't even know if I'm doing the right thing or the wrong thing. This thing is stressing me. I can just go to my manager and tell my manager, you know what? I feel like I'm a bit stuck. So can you help me with this? Or what do you think of my performance so far? What do you think I can do better? Right? Separate your personal and professional life. So that is the work-life balance. You need to have a work-life balance. Do you understand? Separate your professional and personal life and organize in-person social meetups. Someone talked about having a girl outing. So you can decide on that. If it's going to give you the respite that you need, why not? So any more questions up to that point? Like I said, this is the end of our digital skills training. We have had a good run from Monday, right? It has been so intense. I've had so much fun training the WEA community. You have been interactive, you have been engaging. It's very encouraging to the trainer. So thank you all so much for taking time to attend 2 days training, taking time to attend the trainings in the previous classes, right? We're looking forward to have a refresher training for this maybe sometime next year. Okay, we will work with the our partners, that is Women in Africa. We'll work with them to see that we are not just here training and leaving, so we can have another cohort next year and the other and the other. All right. So if you feel like you need any help, you can always go to pr@impacther.org and reach out to us if you have any questions. Remember, we are still offering post-training support. Thank you, Gladys. So remember, we are offering post-training support, right? So please, please, please make sure that you reach out to us in case of anything, right? Just hold on for a second. I hope you are filled in the attendance form. I hope you are filled in the attendance form. Like I said, WEA has been very instrumental and in ensuring that this partnership goes well. So thank you so much to them for the partnership. We can drop them, we can clap for them in the chat section. We can clap for WEA in the chat section, all right? And like I said, we're looking at having, other sessions next year. So this will be communicated with you. So make sure you sign up for the Google Hustle Academy. The link will be posted in the chat section. If you want to self-learn, you can go to learndigital.google.com and then follow us on our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Impact Hub, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Digital Skills for Africa. So thank you so much, It's been a good run. See you all next time. So the attendance link, Dinah, please post the attendance link again. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Dinah. So the attendance link has been posted. Do well to fill in with the correct name. So thank you, guys, and bye. I will see you again. And happy holidays. I forgot to say Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and enjoy. I hope you all have a good year. Bye. Bye, guys.